Wow, look at you guys. What a bunch of beautiful men. It's an honor to be here with you and to welcome you. When I was packing up and getting ready to leave, my wife said, so what are you guys going to do? And she doesn't usually ask me that, and so it kind of caught me off guard. And I said, well, we're going to do counsel. And she looked over at me kind of blankly and said, well, I hope it does you some good. After being married 28 years, you just sort of take all comments like that as positive. I'm sure she meant it that way. But, brothers, as we do gather for counsel, we do hope it does you some good. When we come into counsel, it is deep speaking unto deep. It's a contemplative practice. It's a way of moving into that which hasn't been said, needs to be said, is waiting to be said, and heard in a contemplative way by brothers who are affirming you and welcoming that conversation into being. Men have been gathering in circles for centuries to do that very thing, finding the compelling reality of doing business as unusual, where we speak in a way that interrupts the normal speak, the shallow speak that often captivates most of our attention. We say that counsel is best learned by practice because it's not something you can really get at in your head. In fact, we're hoping that you can shut down that the monkey mind, that faculty that is always interrupting and interpreting and judging and preparing to present itself. To move into this deep heart space where we're not explaining ourselves any longer. We're free to be present and to be real and to have a different dialogue, to overhear ourselves saying things we didn't know that we knew. We've inherited this practice. It comes to us via wisdom traditions all over the world. We've been working with the Center for Counsel for the past 3 years to gain facility, to gain confidence with this practice. And so we share it with you. If this is your first Soularize, in fact, I would just kind of like to welcome you. If this is your first time with us in Soularize, would you just kind of wave your hand? Wow. Hello, brothers. Yeah. I don't have a lot of time, so I just want to say to you, gird up your loins. Yeah. In the best way that you know how. Be ready to be unmade and undone by what you experience here. Look at these men and see them. They are men. You will not be disappointed. When we get in our circles in just a few minutes after your time of wondering, we do that by sacred intention. We enter into that space expectant and ready and open. We often have this phrase we say, when the learner is open and ready, the teachers will come. And in that space, the deep speak, you will hear it in a way that you may not have heard it without that intention. And there will be an opportunity to make a dedication. And what that is simply for you to consecrate this time for you and to welcome into the circle whatever it is that you would like to welcome. Maybe it's your father, maybe it's a brother, someone in your family, your history, a mentor. It might be someone suffering in the world. Anything you would like to welcome in that dedication. And your council carriers will be there to help you and facilitate that. And you'll ring a little prayer gong, or you'll put some rocks together or clap your hands, some way to just establish that I'm in. And then you'll have a talking piece in the center of your circle. And those of you who are familiar with that will know that that is the piece that you hold that authorizes you to speak deeply to the circle. And when you have the stick, it's your opportunity to speak. Silence is a valid offering, brothers. So if there's more that's being called up in you that can be said in those moments, we invite you to take that talking stick and hold it as an offering to the group with intention and sacredness. And believe me, brothers, we will get it. We will hear you. And then you pass the stick on to the next brother. We ask you to trust this process. You will get whatever you're willing to put into that sharing. You will get out of it what you put into it. So we invite you to make the most of your time. Don't waste any time with the weather. So that talking piece will authorize you. When you're done, you will put that back in the center or pass it to your brother as you've been instructed. And there are 4 intentions in counsel. You speak from the heart, you listen from the heart, you're spontaneous, and lean of speech. So just quickly, the first 2 pieces, listening from the heart and speaking from the heart, are a contemplative practice. You've been doing it all along. If you do contemplative sits, that's what we do. We listen from the heart. We're not speaking so much, hopefully, but if we were speaking in that place, it would be straight from the depths of our being. And so when you're in counsel, you listen attentively to your brother. We say with the ears of a rabbit who's paying attention because his life depends upon it. And trust me, brothers, our lives depend upon it. And we listen to our brother. It's a gift that you give him that he may never have experienced before, to truly be listened and welcomed by another man. The empathic listening that Terry shared with us, that he received from his father. May we all be so fortunate. But we can give that gift to one another in this council time, to listen carefully with a non-judgmental mind. We're not asking you to agree with everything, a man might say. It's not about agreement in terms of content or stories. It's about agreeing soul to soul. You belong here. You are a beloved son. You're welcome. I hear you. And so when a brother shares in that way, when he's done, we say ho, as a way to affirm that you've been heard. Sometimes we'll say the phrase, we hear you. It doesn't mean you agree with everything that's been said. It means that you affirm him and what's been said. And then you speak from the heart. This is the greatest challenge for men. So we normally, when we speak, I call it the gospel of despair. We move into this explaining mode. Explaining ourselves. Well, I was this and that, and I did that, but I had reasons. And I'm doing much better now. We really want you to move away from that and get to the heart of the thing. So this first prompt is to tell a story of a recent experience where you wrestle with grief and loss. A recent story. So we're not asking you to begin at the beginning. Well, I was born at an early age, and at that time, we want you to go right to it. So, 2 weeks ago, And you just tell it. Tell the story. And then you stop. Don't explain the story. Don't interpret the story. Don't tell us all the things that you're going to get out of that story and unpack out of that story. Just tell us the story and let that stand. And trust me, it will say everything that needs to be said. And there's a collective reality that starts to happen as men share in that circle. The circle itself begins to speak back to us in this mysterious way. And the Spirit begins to have her way with us in that space. Spontaneity is important and critical because if you're rehearsing what you're going to say, you can't what? Yeah. I mean, I know this because, my whole life I've been worried about getting the right answer, So I was always rehearsing and preparing what I'm going to say. If you can set that aside and again trust the process and be present to your brothers, what needs to be said by you will be said. And so you're spontaneous in that moment. And then the last thing we say is to be lean of speech. This doesn't mean necessarily short. It just means cut the fat. Get to it. Get to the thing that needs to be said. Lean of speech. So those 4 intentions: speak from the heart, listen from the heart, be spontaneous, and be lean of speech. And we know that everything that we do in counsel is confidential. So we hold whatever is said in counsel confidentially. And it doesn't even give you permission to talk to that brother about that, when you go to lunch. So you've broken counsel and you go to lunch. That thing you said when you're done? No. We really want to hold it completely in confidence so that everyone has the trust to be able to share from a deep place, knowing that they don't have to go out later this afternoon and have some guy start unpacking that for them. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So we hold it in confidence. Now, if that brother brings it up to you, you're certainly welcome to talk about it. But keep what we say in circle stays in circle.